will come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base. Just as they score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is saved. Saved at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Forbes Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Brackett throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from the faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings. Long drive. Left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie.
There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. Just hits it back.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the program. I am your host, Dan Scott. That is Forrest Stulting. Another beautiful day here in the upstate. It is the first day of November, 10 months gone in 2017, and what have we accomplished?
Exactly.
I think we can all ask ourselves that question. How you doing? Everything good?
Yes, sir. How about yourself?
Good. I'm sure it was a late night for you last night.
Oh, it certainly was. Not as late as Game 5, but it was still fairly late watching that exciting Game 6 as we head into a Game 7 tonight. So got a lot to look forward to this evening.
Yeah, we got a lot to get to on the program today as well, as is usually the case when we start to get to this juncture of the week especially. But on the program today, among Forrest's three things, of course, will be a World Series recap and also the first committee poll for the college football rankings came out. Really the only one that matters heading down the stretch, because the committee is the one that will determine the four teams who will play in college football's playoff, and that first poll was announced yesterday. So we'll take a look at that, discuss it. Dave Glenn, ACCSports.com, will be with us in the middle segment about 10:25 to talk all things Atlantic Coast Conference, including his thoughts on Clemson and Notre Dame, which is not a conference member but plays a partial conference schedule in football. And
just those Irish, those pesky Irish.
Yeah,
you know?
Them. He'll get his thoughts on
those guys in green and gold.
Get his thoughts on that as well. And then Furman women's soccer coach Andrew Burr at the end of the program, about 10:45 or so, yesterday named the Southern Conference Coach of the Year. And for the first time since 2000 and 2003, 6 Lady Paladins on the first team, all-conference team, tying a school record.
Yeah, just goes to show how deep his Furman team is and how powerful they are, not only offensively but defensively as well, Dan.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal season for them. It's been a really, really good season as well for the men's team, and with everything else going on campus-wise here, as we talked about a little bit yesterday, got a lot of programs here that are up for conference championships, including the football team, and man, that's good to say.
It really is, Dan. We got 2 more big games to go, but hopefully we're on the right track, and if we can just somehow, some way, find a way to pull out these 2 last victories, we'll get a few more numbers up on that field house down there to our left.
I can promise you that there was an awful lot of excitement in this place in that 2013 game when the Paladins beat Wofford, and that sealed what would be a tie for the conference championship, but the tiebreaker for the automatic bid went to Furman. And before we left here, as a matter of fact, shortly after the final gun sounded, as a celebration was ongoing, that 2013 was already being tacked to the building.
In 2004, they did the same thing after their big victory. I believe it was against Wofford in that final game as well.
So anyway, we will we'll hope to get a repeat. We won't be able to do that in the last game of the season here because we're on the road. But
symbolically, we'll throw it up there.
Got that? Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to quickly the campus notes. What's going on here, Furman-wise, before we start taking a broader look at what's going on in the world of sports. We'd always like to give our local campus teams here a little bit of love when we can.
Absolutely. Only thing on the calendar for tonight, the volleyball team will host the Citadel at 7 o'clock in Alley Gym, so come out and support the Paladins. As Dan said, the women's soccer team, Andrew Burr won Coach of the Year, and 6 Paladins garnered first team. Those Paladins are Molly Dwyer, Rachel Shaw, Sanan Williams, Jordan Evans, Quinn Lombard, and Kelsey Weaver. And Mo Tranowski is on the all-freshman team as well this year. The men's soccer team, Ben Hale was named the Player of the Week for the second time this year. The great freshman goalie. The cross-country team is ranked. The men are ranked 7th in the country. The women are ranked 12th. So they just continue to climb higher in the polls each week. And the NCAA championships will occur, I believe, in 9 days. So they're just a few short days away from the big dance, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
All right, good stuff. We are just really excited about everything that's going on here on campus. And like I said, you go back a couple of years, the fall sports won every Southern Conference championship with the exception of football, and now here we are with an opportunity to try and pull off the same trick and add football to the mix as well. It's been a fun fall here on campus, and you have a sneaking suspicion that it's only going to get more entertaining as we turn into winter and then into spring.
Oh, absolutely. We got a few more teams that are going to be competing at the tops of the SoCon throughout the entire winter and spring.
Yeah.
So don't forget the boys in the spring.
That's the plan.
Yes, sir.
That's the plan. Everything is just kind of biding time until we get to baseball season. You know how?
Yeah.
All right. The show, as always, is brought to you by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company. We'll tell you more about them after we get to some trivia, but we got a little trivia to do first.
Absolutely. So to win a World Series, the Astros will have to win back-to-back Game 7s. They won Game 7 in the League Championship Series. And my question is, who is the only other team to win an LCS Game 7 and a World Series Game 7 in the history of baseball?
In the same year? In
the same year, yep.
I know this one.
Oh, boy.
I know this one.
Uh-oh. Let's see if he actually knows it.
I think I know this one.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we'll talk about that when we come back. And if you have a guess on the trivia question, you can leave it in any of the platform comment sections that we have, or you can just hit us up on Twitter at Dan Scott Show. Now, a word about Atlanta Bread. I was there for breakfast this morning, and as usual, the food was fantastic. So were the people. And as we head towards Thanksgiving, don't forget that the specialty menu item they're trotting out right now is the turkey cranberry sandwich with the cranberries baked directly into the bread. You're going to love that. It's going to be good through probably the early part of December. And then, again, cooler weather is upon us. Don't forget the hot soups, the hot chili, the warm sandwiches, all the things that really feel good when it comes to eating lunch or dinner on a cold day. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Plaza, located right down the street from campus. We'll be back with more and continue on the Dan Scott Show right after this. Don't go away.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show. What are you laughing at?
Your comment on the Facebook page. And yes, I did have the cricket.
Oh, yeah.
The
well,
trivia
hey,
question.
Listen, there are some things that are indelibly burned into the memory bank of this increasingly decrepit hard drive of mine.
Oh, okay.
But it just, like I was telling you off the air, just happened to be at a very particular and polarizing point in my life that I remember very quickly, and also I was able to, what I thought was correct, and it turned out it was, educate you on another little tidbit
Absolutely.
that goes along with
there you go.
that trivia question.
Way to turn it around there, Dan.
Hey, you do what you have to do. I don't get these opportunities at home, so I have to take advantage of them
fair
here.
enough.
That's the way it goes. Welcome back to the show. Good to have you with us. Dave Glenn coming up at 10:25. Andrew Burr at 10:45.
There it is.
Yeah, haven't done it in a while. Time for Forest Three Things, and we're going to start baseball. We're going to start college football playoffs.
I think some baseball is due, don't you think?
Okay, let's do it.
So the Dodgers, they won Game 6 3-1 last night. They scraped together 2 runs against Justin Verlander in the 6th, and 1 more in the 7th off of Joe Musgrove, an opposite field home run by Jock Peterson. He's got 6 extra base hits in this World Series, and 3 of them doubles and 3 of them home runs. So impressive stuff by him. But
for a guy who hit 211 in the regular season,
and wasn't even on the ALDS or NLDS roster.
Yeah.
Only got 5 at bats in the NLCS as well. So just he's really come through big for the Dodgers. But another guy who's come up big for the Dodgers has been Chris Taylor, who got the first RBI in last night's game. That was his 3rd RBI of the World Series, and all 3 of them have come in really big spots for the Dodgers. So he has just been the straw that stirs the drink, if you will, for the Dodgers for the most part. But I guess another main story from last night would be that the Astros just failed to come up in big situations with runners in scoring position. They went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position last night. 0 for 6, excuse me. That will not get the 8 people left on base. That will not get it done in a World Series game like this, especially on the road.
Won't get it done in any game.
That's fair too.
But it's it's really magnified.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just adds to, though, what has been a very entertaining World Series.
Oh, yeah.
We've got now another low-scoring pitchers duel to add in with a couple of wild offensive explosions. And, who knows what Game 7 has to offer tonight. I mean, basically the only 2 pitchers on either team that won't be available will be the 2 guys who started last night. And I would imagine that in an emergency you might see even –
you won't see Rich Hill, but possibly Justin Verlander. That's my guess.
If they needed Rich Hill to get a left-handed out late in the ball game,
that's fair enough. All right,
but for the most part, those are the only 2 guys who won't be readily available. Outside of that, it's Johnny Holstaff, man. It's all hands on deck.
No, I completely agree with that. They want to protect those big arms, especially with Verlander, because he is getting paid the big bucks. So they're going to be extremely careful with him.
I don't think it's got anything to do with protecting the big arms. It's just how many pitches did he throw last night? Because again, I'm looking back to, we talked about 2001 when Randy Johnson started Game 6, pitched 7 innings, and then came on and got the final 3 outs of Game 7. You just don't see it very often. But what I'm saying is, in the right situation, even those 2 guys would be available, but they would be the last options more than likely.
And A.J. Hinch, the Astros manager, did say that after he brought in Justin Verlander in relief in the Boston series, he got yelled at by his superiors. So that could throw an extra equation in that, or extra variable in the equation. But a funny stat here: the Astros have 22 runs in 3 World Series games in Houston. They've only scored 22 runs in 8 games on the road. So that could play a big factor in tonight's Game 7, because they have not scored a lot of runs on the road and have had trouble scoring runs on the road as well.
Yeah, but you remember the second game of this series after they lost a close game in Game 1. They had the breakout and won, 7-6?
7-6, yep.
10
I think it was 11 innings, yeah.
So I guess the big thing is, just when you think you've got this thing figured out, something else happens. The other thing that 2 things I kind of thought was interesting last night: Rich Hill stepping off the mound and doing a little gardening and allowing the Dodger Stadium crowd to get a nice long boo at Yuri Gurriel, the first baseman.
Every time he touched the ball, he got a nice little boo. Even when he caught a pop fly or they're doing grounders in between innings.
But when he stepped to the plate for the first time, Hill backing off the mound intentionally and saying after the game that was just kind of his silent protest for that controversy. And then Jock Peterson's home run trot.
Oh man!
In the 7th inning, there was a day and time in baseball that Game 7 of the World Series or not, Peterson could expect if he was in the lineup today to be to have to be very loose in the batter's box. I don't know if that will happen now. It may be something that might come back, say, in spring training.
Sure.
But there was a day and time when exhibiting that kind of emotion and baseball parlance, showing up the opponent, would be a prerequisite for a fastball at the ear hole the next time you came up.
Yep.
So don't know if we'll see that in Game 7 tonight, but just kind of keep that in the back burner, maybe heading towards spring training next year, the first time the Dodgers and Astros, or if they don't meet in spring training, if they play in interleague next time they get together.
And they do play in interleague next year at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. So maybe just kind of keep that in the back of your mind,
as well as Yuli Gurriel, because I'm sure they'll get plenty of boos in at that time as well. But last night, the little things won this game. The Bellinger pick at first base in the 7th inning was just brilliant. That kept them in the ball game. The Stroh's inability to produce runs in scoring position, and actually some pretty good 2-strike hitting last night too. I saw a lot of people actually shorten up their swings and kind of just try to put the ball in play instead of going for the long ball and selling out for all three strikes essentially. And then Austin Barnes behind the plate, he had some big blocks in the dirt with runners in scoring position as well that kind of kept the Astros at bay. So just really good baseball all around to see, especially with a close game like it was 3-1. And I like seeing low-scoring games because it puts more emphasis on every pitch, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the things. You know, I had my publisher at my hometown newspaper, my very first newspaper job, was a NASCAR fan.
Oh boy.
And hated baseball. And the reason he hated baseball, he said, was because in a perfect game nothing happens. And I'm like, you're a NASCAR fan and you're talking about nothing happening. You know, the most exciting thing that happens at a race is a wreck.
Repetition, you know, at its finest.
But in a low-scoring game, that's the beauty about the game of baseball is that the game hinges and can turn on every single pitch.
Yeah.
And in the postseason, it's even more magnified. I just have a sneaking suspicion tonight that there are going to be some runs scored on both sides. I don't think 3 or 4 runs is going to be enough to win this game.
I think I don't know, with all hands on deck on pitching wise, I think it's going to be somewhat low scoring, but nowhere close to what we saw in Game 5. But I think you could be right, like 5, 6, 7 runs will win this ball game. A little more than we saw last night, but somewhere in between Game 5 and last night, possibly.
We'll find out.
Yeah, just 2 more fun stats. George Springer joins Hall of Famer Lou Gehrig in 1928 World Series as the only players to have home runs in the tying or go-ahead home runs in 3 straight games in the World Series. Impressive stuff there. And the Game 7 will mark the 3rd time ever and first since 1931 that 2 100-win clubs will play a decisive and final game in the World Series.
Good stuff.
So exciting times in L.A. tonight.
All right. What is Thing 2?
Thing 2, college football playoff.
Oh, by the way, McCullers versus Darvish.
Darvish tonight, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Those will start it, yep. College football playoff rankings came out last time. We had a little bit of a shock, I believe, up top. The Georgia Bulldogs were ranked number 1 ahead of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Notre Dame is 3rd, Clemson's 4, Oklahoma 5, Ohio State 6, Penn State 7, and TCU 8. And as we all suspected, a lesser Wisconsin team who's undefeated right now is all the way down at number 9, so no shock there. And Miami rounds out the top 10 at number 10, being 7-0. Overall, I like these rankings. I think Clemson deserves to be in there ahead of Ohio State and Clemson, or Oklahoma and Penn State. Notre Dame is definitely the third best team, and I was surprised to see Alabama at number 2, but at the same time, I'm not all that shocked because Georgia has better wins than Alabama. They beat number 3 ranked Notre Dame earlier this year in South Bend, so that is a much more quality win than what Alabama has on their resume at the moment.
Yeah, if you look at the resumes, they got it the way it should be, and not on reputation. And I think the committee did this thing justice. You look at Clemson being in there ahead of Ohio State and Penn State. And Clemson has more quality wins than those two teams, so that nudges them ahead. And look, as was pointed out yesterday, Ohio State won the championship the very first year we had the 4-team college playoff, and the first poll that came out that year, they were 16th. So, look, it's nice to be in the top 4 now. Nice to be number 1 now. Where will you be in the final poll is the only thing that matters, and there's a lot of football to be played between now and then, including, of course, if the track holds, Georgia and Alabama playing each other in the SEC championship game.
Yep, and Auburn lost one of their running backs, Cameron Petaway, so I think that has a great possibility of setting up a big game in Atlanta this year because Alabama will not be challenged that much down the stretch until that SEC championship game, Dan. And looking at the standing, the rankings, that only the top 13 teams have 1 loss. Everybody else below that has either 2 losses. Well, there is UCF, but they're not. Let's be real; they're not going to make it to the college football playoff. So everyone below 13 already has 2 losses. So that already shrinks the number of possibilities that could be heading to the college football playoff.
Yeah, and you have Georgia and Alabama who are perfect right now at 8-0. Then you have 2 other undefeated teams at 9-10, Wisconsin and Miami, but neither of them have anything close to the resume that warrants them being in the top 4. And then after that, as you said, after 13, it's 2 losses or more, with the exception of Central Florida. So, I think the poll looks good here in week 1. But like I said, week 1 doesn't matter. It's the final week that matters. And there's a lot of good football to be played between now and then. This Clemson North Carolina State game that's coming up.
VT Miami.
Yeah, VT Miami. So let's all take a breath and see what happens from week to week. The other thing that I'd like to see added to this is I'd like to see the committee people reveal their individual ballots.
That'd be nice.
I don't think, obviously they're not going to, but I'd really like to see how the individual ballots looked, and just to get an idea of what the conversation was like in the room when they put this poll together for the first time.
No, I think so. It gives a little more insight to why the teams are ranked where they are and what the process is at a more in-depth level, which is always good for the fans to know how these teams are being ranked and what positions they're slotted in.
All right, so that's the first poll from the committee, and the conversation has begun. We will see how it moves on from week to week. But right now, Georgia at the top, followed by Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson. That's your first top 4 in the race for the 4-team college football playoff. Got to quickly get the game.
Yeah, thing 3 is very, very small. Ezekiel Elliott's request for preliminary injunction was denied Monday, meaning the 6-game suspension can be enforced and will be enforced. The Elliott's attorneys will be appealing and file for an emergency motion, but as of now, he will be serving the suspension starting this Sunday.
If he'd have served it at the beginning of the season, it'd be over by now.
You got that right. Just taking it like a man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, if he was taking it like a man, he wouldn't be hitting a woman to begin with.
There
but
you
that's
go.
Another story for another time.
You got that right. Yes, sir, Dan.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that one as well. We'll take a break and come back. On the flip side, Dave Glenn will join us. Before we go out, though, just a quick word about our friends at Hall's Chop House, located in downtown Greenville. They have quickly become the Greenville Steakhouse, and why not? Allen Brothers Prime Steaks tops off a fantastic menu, so you know that your dinner is going to be exquisite when you visit there. They have plenty of meeting rooms available if you have a Christmas party coming up, a corporate event, whatever your need. They have the room to go along with the menu to do it. And then just a reminder, they're open 7 days a week for dinner and also open for brunch on Sundays. Live music during all of those times. It's a fantastic place, fantastic atmosphere, and it's in downtown Greenville. The Greenville Steakhouse, Hall's Chop House. Please, please tell them you heard about them right here on the show. To break, and Dave Glenn joins us on the other side. We'll return in just a moment.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, we are back. It is 10:28 here on the Dan Scott Show, Wednesday edition of the program. Dan, that is Forrest, and we are off to a roaring start here. Try to keep the momentum rolling, and when you're struggling and go to the bullpen, you bring on your ace.
There you go.
And that's what we're doing now. Dave Glenn, ACCSports.com, and the syndicated, he said, Dave Glenn Show joining us here on the program today. David, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Dan. I hope I can deliver more of a Clayton Kershaw Game 1 victory as your ace than Kershaw in Game 5 or Justin Verlander for the Astros last night. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Verlander didn't pitch badly. I mean,
no.
3-1 game, that's a good low-scoring game. This World Series, as Forrest and I have been talking about, if you're a baseball fan, it's had a little bit of everything for you. Pitching duels, wild offensive games, a little controversy here and there. It's been a fun series.
I am a baseball guy. It's the game I played the most, watched the most as a youngster. I played all the way into my 20s as a left-handed pitcher. I have an appreciation for kind of the nuances of the game as well as the big picture of the game. So I'm excited. I don't even have a dog in that hunt. I'm rooting for Chase Utley, the former Philadelphia Philly, since that's my favorite team. So that leans me Dodgers. But you're exactly right. I mean, some great starting pitching occasionally. The bullpen meltdowns, the World Series record number of home runs, the different star, different night kind of philosophy. Hurricane Harvey and its impact on the Astros and the city of Houston, and they're trying to kind of bring that community something nice in the aftermath of that. And L.A. trying to win for the first time in 29 years, man. That's something in the sports media world where we say we do not have a lack of storylines, however this goes in Game 7 tonight.
We're all salivating over here, Dave.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, well, we also were pretty anxious about this first college football poll from the committee, the one that will ultimately determine who will play in the college football playoff, David. And as Forrest and I were sitting here kind of going over it just a few minutes ago right before the break, I think, even as anti-Notre Dame as I am, I think they probably got the top 7 or 8 pretty close to correct. What was your thought when you saw the poll?
I agree with you, Dan. I mean, there are always things that you can sort of nitpick and second guess, but overwhelmingly, they got it right where it matters most, which is at the top of the rankings. And I know Miami fans, some of them are unhappy at being, they're undefeated and they're only number 10. And Wisconsin fans, they're undefeated and they're only number 9. I think they placed the right value on head-to-head, with Oklahoma being just ahead of Ohio State and Ohio State being just ahead of Penn State. All of them have the same record, but head-to-head should matter when you have the same record especially. The ACC is in good position with Clemson at number 4 and Miami and Virginia Tech also in that top 13. So we'll see. I don't think, Alabama or Georgia have to worry about whether they're 1 or 2 right now. They're undefeated. But it's going to come down to that dissecting of one-loss resumes in the end. And between now and December 3rd, there are going to be a lot more defeats for those teams in the top dozen or so. So a lot of these debates will resolve themselves over the course of the next month or so.
As we pointed out right before the break, if you go back to the first year we had the playoff, the first poll that came out had Ohio State at number 16.
Yep.
And Ohio State ended up winning the national championship as they climbed the ranks over the course of the last 6 weeks or whatever it was of that regular season. So while it's fun and there's a lot of conversation and hand-wringing, as is always the case when these things come out, this is just the preliminary. The main event is still a few weeks away.
Yeah, and one thing to keep an eye on as we move forward, I agree with everything you just said there. If Notre Dame wins out and gets one of those 4 slots, and if Clemson and Georgia and Alabama both keep winning and maybe play each other for the SEC title and maybe even the loser gets into the Final Four, we will have something. If those 2 things happen, we will have something we've never had before in the college football playoff, because you know how this works. There's only 4 slots. Power 5 conferences do not like being left out. There are 5 of those leagues, and there are only 4 slots. If Notre Dame takes one, well, now you have 5 leagues for only 3 slots. And if the SEC takes 2, now you have 5 leagues for only 2 spots. And that will really cause a lot of indigestion if it unfolds that way. Now, if Notre Dame loses, or either Alabama or Georgia fall by the wayside, then we're back to normal. And we'll probably have, the usual Power 5 champions that are either undefeated or one-loss teams getting into those 4 slots. And whichever league is left out is probably going to have only itself to blame. But there's an Armageddon scenario here, at least as the rankings look right now on November 1st.
How far away are we? And I know the contracts are involved, but I also know that there are ways to get out of or to renegotiate TV contracts and everything else. We got to be closer to an 8-team field than we've ever been before, David, in my estimation. What do you think?
I think you're right, but ... I really think they're going to wait till the conclusion of this contract.
Think so?
University presidents are the ones that have to give the green light to an expansion here. They're under a lot of pressure because of an FBI investigation of college basketball, because of negative headlines related to scandals and, the AFAM scandal at Carolina and Rick Pitino's troubles and Jim Boeheim's suspension and all sorts of high-profile programs, high-profile sports being in the wrong sorts of headlines. I think they understand that the perception would be cash grab at the expense of athletes in the most violent sport that they have. And not that they won't consider it the next time it comes up for review, but I do think they're going to ride this contract out all the way through the end, and that means we're going to be with a 4-team bracket rather than something larger for the foreseeable future.
Hey, Dave Forrest here. Last week, Boston College dismantled Florida State and Miami snuck by UNC. Were you surprised by either of those 2 outcomes?
I was more surprised by what happened with Florida State. That was a lay down like a bunch of flea-ridden dogs performance by the Florida State Seminoles. And I understand it's no fun to lose your starting quarterback to injury the way FSU did. I understand it's no fun to be midseason with a losing record when you were preseason top 5 and almost all of your dreams, if not all of them, have gone by the wayside. But you guys had a front row seat there. I'm trying to remember what year it was. Early in Dabo Swinney's career, he did not have a good football team. And I think they were roughly a 500 team that year. Only mediocre record on his entire resume as a head coach. Those Tigers never stopped fighting, right? They never stopped playing hard. They never started saying, I'm more worried about my NFL career than I am playing hard for my brothers or my teammates or my school or my coaches or my pride or whatever. I understand these guys have NFL careers to worry about, but there is something right with the Clemson culture and the relationship that Dabo Swinney has with his staff and with his players. And there is something wrong with the Florida State culture when everybody's ready to play hard and chase championships as long as things are going well. But when you are struggling at midseason, you truly give up and stop playing hard. And in some cases, even FSU players are accusing their teammates of being more worried about their draft status or staying healthy than just giving an honest effort in a football game. I mean, Jimbo Fisher has a different leadership style than Dabo Swinney does. I've never believed that he or guys like Bobby Petrino at Louisville have the same kind of down to the core of your being relationship, mentor to player, as Dabo and others do with their leadership styles. And as I said, as long as things are going well, you're still going to get great efforts and great records most of the time from all that NFL caliber talent. But when you don't have that same kind of healthy culture and things are going poorly, wow, did those Seminoles in large numbers simply give up on their coaches, give up on their school, give up on each other. That was embarrassing, truly, to Jimbo Fisher and FSU, whereas Miami has been playing so many close games. And they really have been just sort of walking a tightrope. Credit for their undefeated record. But the Hurricanes, I think, are about to meet their maker in Virginia Tech this weekend. If even 1-7 Carolina can play you within a possession of the game going the other way, I think Virginia Tech has the ability to teach the Hurricanes a real hard lesson about where they are in the ACC pecking order, because I don't think they're near the top just yet.
Let me just follow up on Forrest's question here, because a lot of people want to throw this off simply on DeAndre Francois' injury at the beginning of the season, which obviously had a lot to do with it. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember this stat, though, that points out this is a lot deeper than just DeAndre Francois. Am I correct? Something like Florida State's 14-11 in its last 25 games, or something along those lines. I mean, this goes a lot deeper than just DeAndre Francois.
You're right about that. And the number that I'm sure is correct is that the Seminoles are 9-9 in their last 18 ACC, meaning conference games.
There you go.
Your number may also be correct, but the bottom line is that's mediocre by anybody's standard, and it's subpar by the FSU football standard. And remember, for those who don't follow this stuff closely, remember Derwin James is a future first-round draft pick at safety for the Seminoles. They have guys on the defensive line and elsewhere, Tavares McFadden at cornerback. These guys are pros. Now, they have offensive line problems, and we all understand losing your starting quarterback matters. But losing your starting quarterback can mean the difference between an elite season or a nice season. This Florida State team is 3 games under 500 for the first time in that program's history since 1976, when Bobby Bowden was in his first year as the head coach. They're 2-5. It's fair to say the loss of DeAndre Francois was a massive jolt and took away the possibility of a dream season. We all accept that. However, the fall to 2-5 and some of the worst things they've seen in literally 4 decades or more, that's a reflection of something much deeper that has gone wrong. And it does not reflect well on Jimbo Fisher or the culture of that program or even the players on that team.
This week is probably the biggest week in ACC football. You have number 4 Clemson going to Raleigh to face the Wolfpack, and number 13 Virginia Tech traveling to Coral Gables, Florida to face Miami. Talk about those two matchups for this weekend.
I really like, and you're right, Forrest. I mean, it's not exactly a playoff, but it's really close to it. I mean, the bottom line is whoever wins those two games probably will face each other in the ACC championship game. It's not quite that simple technically, but logically speaking, if NC State beats Clemson, they're in the driver's seat. If Clemson beats NC State, they're in the driver's seat. And same with Miami and Virginia Tech in the Coastal Division. I actually think that the visiting teams are the better teams in both cases. I'm one of those guys that if I think two teams are very, very closely matched, I usually break the tie in favor of the home team. I don't believe that NC State is as good as Clemson. I don't believe that Miami, even though they have the better record, is as good as Virginia Tech. The Hurricanes have been playing with fire. They had that close win against Florida State, close win against Georgia Tech, close win against UNC. One play could have turned 3 wins into 3 losses, and one play in each of those 3. I think the Hurricanes are about to realize that when you face an opponent that plays elite defense, Virginia Tech, can run it fairly well, can throw it in a balanced offense, and frankly, Miami doesn't have that run-pass balance as much. They don't have that offense-defense balance as much. Mark Richt's job at Miami over 2 years has been fantastic. This is not a criticism of the Hurricanes. I just simply don't think they're as good as Virginia Tech. So I like the Hokies to win, even though that game is in South Florida. And I think Clemson, when Kelly Bryant has been healthy and on the field, has been an upper echelon team, national top 5 or so. Whereas NC State just realized in a game where they were just dismantled by Notre Dame up in South Bend, they are a legitimate top 25 team. There's no doubt this is Dave Doran's best of his 5 teams in Raleigh with the Wolfpack. However, they have some deficiencies in the secondary. They have, against Notre Dame, they were exposed to somebody that just couldn't stop the run. I mean, it's not Bradley Chubb's fault. They're All-American defensive end. The other guys who were asked to step up to the plate at Notre Dame failed to do so, and the Irish had more than 300 yards rushing. They couldn't even slow the rushing attack of Notre Dame to force Brandon Wimbush to try to beat them with his arm. Clemson obviously is dangerous in so many ways. I think the Tigers' versatility and diversity is too much for the Wolfpack in Raleigh, and I think the Hokies' balance is too much for the Hurricanes in South Florida.
Yeah, interesting little note about the Clemson and North Carolina State game. Clemson's previous 8 road games had all been primetime, nighttime starts, and North Carolina State, had they beaten Notre Dame, would have gotten them on homecoming, primetime, national TV.
Yeah.
I think this actually works out better for Clemson, although playing those night games would not have phased them. It takes a little of the luster off of what would have been just an incredible homecoming atmosphere on steroids, so to speak, up at North Carolina State.
I think you're right about that, Dan. I've seen some night games at Carter Finley, and they are off the charts when the Wolfpack has something to fight for. I will say this, though. It might be 90% of what it could have been, if College Game Day were here and if it were a 7:30 start and all that stuff, in large part because the Wolfpack, remember, hasn't lost an ACC game yet. If they beat Clemson, they don't clinch anything, but, man, they're in the driver's seat for a trip to the ACC title game. And around here, unlike, say, at Clemson where, winning ACC titles is like an every other year thing and there are bigger fish to fry, in this neighborhood, competing for an ACC football title is a really big deal. And at NC State, they have not won one since 1979.
Wow.
And when they look at their rivals here locally, Carolina hasn't won one since 1980. Duke hasn't won one since 1989. Wake has won one, Jim Grobe 11 years ago, but has only that one in decades. It is an incredibly rarefied air in the sport of football. Of course, up here we're used to it in basketball. But in football, to be this close to a possible ACC football title, that's a really big deal. And whereas the Wolfpack, of course, wishes it did better against South Carolina and Notre Dame in those non-conference losses, everything is still in sight for them in terms of conference play. And they're dreaming of an ACC title, or at the very least a trip to that title game. And Clemson is the biggest obstacle left for them to overcome in pursuit of that dream.
All right, David, so much more we could get into, but time dictates that we've got to get out of here. Tell everybody how they can find out more and maybe some of the things we did not get to, like the NCAA's ruling on the kid up at North Carolina State and Joel Berry's injury and some other things. How do they find out info about all of that?
ACCsports.com, Dan, remains our Grand Central station. The ACC basketball annual magazine is out, brand new. The football magazine, of course, is still available. And it's really all day, every day with audio, articles, insight, analytics, you name it, we've got it. Right there, football, basketball, and recruiting, all with an ACC flavor. That's what we do at ACCsports.com.
As usual, fantastic. We look forward to talking to you again next week, buddy.
All right, Dan Forrest, enjoy the games. Talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir.
That is Dave Glenn, ACCsports.com. Coming up next, it is Andrew Burr joining us to talk soccer, women's soccer, the reigning Coach of the Year in the Atlantic Coast Conference. We got to get his attention. He's out there enjoying the view out to Paris Mountain. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Travelers Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show. All right, welcome back to the program. It's the final segment of the show. Our thanks to Dave Glenn for joining us as he does every Wednesday to talk all things Atlantic Coast Conference. Seated in between us now is our good friend. Can I get the recording started right here? I hit the button and then it flashed on me. There we go. Seated in between us now is Andrew Burr, who just yesterday was named the Southern Conference Coach of the Year in women's soccer and had six players placed on the first team all-conference team, which ties a school record set in 2000 and 2003. Couldn't do any better.
It was good. It was good. We certainly appreciate getting recognized.
I even did this for those of you people who are watching. I stole this off of Furman's Twitter account.
Oh yes, holding soccer balls and I'm pointing. That's the key of being a good coach.
Oh, and then of course there's the one on the left with the hat, the coaching stare.
Yeah,
like I said, I wanted a water bottle or something.
Start running.
Bring me my coffee from Atlanta Bread.
Yes. Oh, Jeff Massey will bring me some coffee. He's good. I saw him this morning. Had an Asiago cheese bagel. Delicious. Fine work, Jeffrey.
He does a good job.
He does.
Always. I had as I usually do, the turkey sausage and
nice.
egg and cheese sandwich.
That's nice.
How many Coach of the Year titles is this for you now?
I think maybe two. I think it's two. And it certainly is nice. I mean, I think you look at and just maybe just a life lesson. Just who do you surround yourself with? And obviously, April Raymer, Rose Hull, 2 assistant coaches, do an unbelievable job. So that's a good life lesson. I tell it to my players all the time, whether you're being recruited to go to college somewhere or you're looking to get a job or looking to find your spouse, surround yourself with good people and good things will happen. So I think this award, the Coach of the Year award, I think is more about our staff than it is about what I'm doing individually, but it certainly is nice for the SoCon to recognize it.
Your last game against ETSU on Sunday was pretty close. You went down 1-0 fairly early in that game. Then 2 amazing free kicks gave you all the win. Can you talk about the game on Sunday?
Yeah, that was a tough one, and we knew it was going to be a battle going in. ETSU was the 8th seed, which was not accurate. I mean, they are so good, so strong. A lot of international players, very technical. Adam Sayers, the coach there, has just done an unbelievable job. So they're really one of the top 3 teams in the conference in my mind, and they showed it on Sunday. They were very good. Gave up a penalty kick in the first half, which was unfortunate. But I'll tell you, I mean, we didn't play our best soccer, but I love that we showed our character, which was, hey, we're going to fight. This is not going to be our last game. And sometimes you appreciate those wins where you just kind of you gut check and you find a way and you show your identity. And that's what we did on Sunday.
Well, it's kind of been the mantra of this team all season long, right?
Well, I think it has been. I mean, if you're going to win a lot of games, and we have, you're going to do it in a lot of different styles. You're going to play beautiful soccer. You might play some ugly soccer. You're going to have to play blue collar soccer. So we've done it every way, which is nice. We're going to find a way to win.
You're playing Western Carolina on Friday, and you beat them here 2-1 in Greenville a few weeks back, and that game went into overtime, and you scored an own goal for that victory. You can talk about that game and what you're going to expect to see on Friday against the Catamounts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got the final 4 teams going to the semis where the seeds 1 through 4, and that's where Western is, and very deserving of that. They're a good team. They I use the term blue collar for our team. They are certainly blue collar. They work hard. They're not going to give you anything, so it's going to be a battle. We're looking forward to playing them again.
What is it, style wise or personnel wise, that makes them so difficult?
Well, I mean, I think they're very disciplined. They're very well coached. They kind of stay in their lane. They know what their strengths are. So nothing's going to come easy with them. So every 50-50 ball they're going to go in hard for. And we've got to be prepared to match that intensity.
You've been able to do that. Obviously, you go through the conference season unscathed as far as defeats go. 1 tie, everything else you win. That's something that can work 2 ways. It can be a pressure that continues to build on your kids and they can start playing tentatively, or it's something they can feed off of, and obviously it's been the latter as opposed to the former.
Yeah, no, you're right, though. It's always a little bit risky, especially when talking about streaks and consecutive shutouts, and people start to build it up and put pressure on themselves. I think right now we're in a spot where we feel really good about where we are. I think we have pride in that we don't like to give up a lot of goals, and our girls are excited about that. I mean, when we score goals, people get excited, but I love that our team, our identity is, hey, we're hard to score on, and our back 4, our goalkeeper, get jacked up after every single shutout, which they should. That's exciting for them. That's what they do. That's what they do really well.
And really the streak, as nice as it is, it's really a wash now because, you guys, something untoward happens and you lose this game. The streak is over, but you're out. But you know what? Anybody else who loses, they're out as well. So basically the streak, if you want to look at it this way, kind of ended when the regular season ended.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And right now what we're seeing is it's the new season. It's the tournament time has started. And this is an opportunity. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are coaching college soccer right now that are done for the year. They're out of their tournament. They won't get a bid to the NCAA tournament. And that's tough. Those players are finished, so we should be thankful, and we're going to take this opportunity because we're still playing soccer, which is great.
Talk about the 6 players that were named to the all-conference team: Molly Dwyer, Rachel Shaw, Sanan Williams, Jordan Evans, Quinn Lombard, and Kelsey Weaver. What have they done for your team this year?
I mean, all of them are so strong. We've got quite a few seniors in that group. Molly and Rachel are 2 seniors that are attackers for us, and then Sanan and Quinn are seniors for us in the back. We got a couple underclassmen, Jordan and Kelsey, but having 6 players on that is certainly wonderful for them, wonderful for our team. But I think it says a lot about kind of how difficult it is to play against Furman. And I know that we've talked about it in previous weeks, and We had, future Hall of Famer Stephanie DeVita on our team, and just what a stud she was. But that was our scouting report when teams played against us. It was mark Stephanie DeVita, fine number 19. Well, now we've got, this group. We've got 6 here, and I think really we're missing 2 of our best players off that list, Kate Riley and Treva Aycock. Those are 2 of the best goal scorers in the country. So I look at this list and I say, man, it's not a lot of fun to play against Furman University right now, and I think that list right there replicates that.
When you get that kind of talent, and I don't want to go too deep into generalizations here because you can get yourself in trouble when you do, but the unique challenge it comes with coaching a women's sport, especially as a male coach. I am a father with 2 daughters. I know the unique challenge it is in raising 2 daughters. So that dynamic plays part of it, but just in sports in general, when you have that many talented players, there can be a give me the ball mentality or I want the press mentality, and it seems like your girls have been able to put everything into the framework of what's best for the team.
Yep, no, I think absolutely, and you're right. Not to generalize, but I think that's somewhat of a difference between male athletics and female athletics is these players that are on this list for our team are a little bit nervous and shy and embarrassed over being on this list. Whereas I remember playing for Furman way back when, and you get on that list and it's, hey, look at me, I'm big time, I'm the best player, get me the ball. So I think that's a little bit of difference between male athletics and female athletics, and our group has embraced that the team comes first. And when we get awards as individuals, it really goes back to the collective, hey, this is Furman University and Furman soccer.
I want to leave out Mo Tranowski. She was up on the all-freshman team. Can we talk about her for a second as well?
Yep. So Mo's a local product, went to Dorman High School from Spartanburg, played for Carolina Elite Soccer Academy. She is going to have a great career here at Furman. So she had a couple of injuries. It limited her playing time, but certainly was proud of her being recognized as one of the top freshmen. I think she'll see this and she'll say, I did not perform and I did not play to my best ability, which I think is true, and that's exciting for us because she's going to be a very, very good player in the future.
The good thing about it is you've just obviously been able to accumulate such great depth, and you've got time for a young player like that who has suffered an injury or who, for whatever reason, may be a little slower in progressing, but you know how good they're going to be. There's not an exceedingly great deal of pressure on them in a season like this.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I think that's the tough part for some of these players coming in to play college athletics in general is, you're used to club soccer or AAU basketball or what, and you have a million games, you got a long career, and there's a little bit of urgency. I mean, Mo did well, our freshmen did well this year, but technically, we're a month out from their freshman year being done. They're 25% the way done with their college career. So I think we see that in a lot of sports is you got to make the most. You got to come in fit. You got to come in prepared to play and contribute, or else these seasons can kind of pass you by a little bit. But no, she has done well, and our freshmen have done well, but I think that their best soccer is still ahead of them.
Just some final thoughts. I mean, you're heading to Birmingham, as you said, tomorrow, so you'll get a chance to get down there and unwind a little bit, do a little walkthrough, and Friday, man, it's on, right?
Yep. No, we'll head down tomorrow. We'll take our 22-man roster down, and we just got to concentrate on one game at a time. So it's Friday at 5, and then if we're fortunate enough to come away with a win, we play on Sunday at 1 in the finals. But man, it is great. We are blessed. This is a great school, and I'm always amazed when I come up here. I look at this view and I look at the trees changing and I look at my players and what I'm surrounded with. We are really blessed, and this is a great opportunity for us to leave this campus and go represent Furman University and hopefully bring home a Southern Conference tournament championship.
What time is the game Friday?
We're at 5 o'clock on Friday night against Western.
And you win that one, and the championship is Sunday at what time?
Yep, 1 o'clock on 1 o'clock Sunday, ESPN 3.
Those are Central times, right? So 6 Eastern.
Correct.
Friday and then 2
Correct.
Eastern.
Good
Sunday.
Math. I like it for us. Nicely done. Yes.
That firm education time is something,
Yep. Attaboy. Yep. Central time for both those games.
All right. So 2 wins away from an NCAA tournament bid.
Man, I'm excited. Hopefully we can do this. That would be nice.
Would be, wouldn't it?
If we win, I'm buying bagels for everyone.
I like it.
And everyone meaning the 3 of us.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll take the sandwich. I'm not a bagel guy, but the gesture is much appreciated. That's Andrew Burr, and good luck to the women's soccer team this weekend in the Southern Conference semifinals and finals down in Birmingham. You got to hang with us here for the final couple of minutes of the program as we revisit the trivia question. Before we do that, though, Drew Tibbs wanted to know, and I got to give Forrest a little bit of education here because you know what this reference is. How are tickets going for the bellhop game?
Sure.
Citadel. You know why they're called the bellhops by Furman and other people?
Why is that?
Because when they wear their uniforms, they look like hotel bellhops from back in the day.
I see it.
So
I see it. That makes sense.
That's why they're not so affectionately referred to as the bellhops in this part of the country.
I like that.
As far as we know, ticket sales are going well, but there are always room for you, whoever you are out there. And by the way, for the first time in my career, I became a promo code this weekend.
You did.
So if you
I was impressed.
If you go to FurmanPaladins.com and you type in the promo code Holy Toledo when you purchase your tickets, I think you get $5 off of your ticket purchase. So there you go.
Holy Toledo,
Holy
Dan.
Toledo. There are 3 or 4 different promo codes out there for different ticketing sections, but I think those are just for the individual game tickets. Get you a discount on each ticket. So the promo code Holy Toledo will get you a discount on each ticket you buy for the game. So, you a baseball guy at all?
Somewhat.
Forrest has a trivia question for us.
I have some on this dates, too.
You want to do that first?
Yeah, just a couple.
Okay.
1942, Branch Rickey was named the president of the Dodgers. In 1966, Sandy Koufax is the first pitcher to win 3 Cy Young Awards, and it's the last year the award is for both leagues, and there's not 2 awards for NL and the AL. In 2001, the first Major League Baseball game is started in November, and as an instant classic, the Yankees come back for the second night in a row to beat the Diamondbacks in the 9th inning on a Scott Brosius 2-run home run in the 9th, and then an RBI single by Alfonso Soriano. Then in 2010, the Giants win their first World Series since moving to San Francisco in 1958.
All right, good deal. Trivia question.
The Astros will have to win back-to-back Game 7s in the ALCS and the World Series. What is the only team to win 2 League Championship Series and a World Series Game 7 in the same year?
1985 Kansas City Royals.
Yes, sir. Well done.
Beat Toronto. Matter of fact, I think they were down 3-1 in the League Championship Series. Came back and won that one in Game 7. They were down 3-1 to the Cardinals in the World Series. Came back and won that one. That had the famous Don Deckinger blown call in Game 6. And the subsequent Whitey Herzog and Joaquin Andahar meltdown in Game 7.
Yep.
When Darryl Motley hit the big home run and Kansas City would go on and win what would be its first World Championship and the last one until 30 years later. 2015. And that was also the first year that the League Championship Series was a 7-game series. Prior to that, from 1969 when it was instituted through 1984, it was the best of 5.
That surprised me.
Yeah. There you go.
Well done, Dan.
It helps to be old sometimes.
Yes, it does. Full of knowledge. Full of knowledge.
Full of
knowledge.
Many things.
Leave it at that. Keep it.
I always kid these guys. I don't use the bad language anymore, but I still operate under the premise that if you can't blind them with brilliance, you baffle them with BS.
Yes.
So, bull cookies, as Colonel Potter used to say on MASH. Good to see you, my man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Good luck this weekend. Anything else from you?
That's all I got.
Thank you for that. We will see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Some college football picks, and who knows what else we'll get into on the Thursday edition of the program. Thanks to Andrew Burr. Thanks to Dave Glenn for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow. Until then, for Forrest and for Coach, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. So long, everybody.
abbreviates the baking process for every batch of biscuits? And did you know that they make those biscuits every 20 minutes all day long? It may seem like a lot of work, fresh, delicious biscuits, but you see, when it comes to biscuits, there's the easy way and there's the made-from-scratch way. We think you'll agree that the made-from-scratch way just tastes better.
At Bojangles, it's all about the biscuits. Come in for our made-from-scratch country ham biscuits. Bojangles, it's Bo time.
There's a reason why year after year more people trust Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, C-Dan Joyner Realtors, to get the job done. It's because we deliver the highest level of real estate services with the utmost integrity, quality, and professionalism. I love what we do, and it shows in every transaction. We've been undisputed upstate market leader for over 20 years because we do what's right. We handle every transaction with a smile, and we're committed to making your home journey the best it can be. For your best move ever, contact Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. C-Dan Joyner Realtors today. Visit cdanjoyner.com and let's get started.
Be sure to stay tuned later for the Eagles halftime show and the Pepsi Paladin postgame here on the Furman ING Sports Network.
All right, the Paladins, 75-yard drive on the opening possession of the game and take a 7-0 lead. The 12-yard touchdown pass from Blaze Jowski to McCarter. That drive was a thing of beauty. 3 third-down conversions, David. You can't do it much better.
You know, Dwight Covington mentioned to us while we were getting set up today how the team looked focused getting out of the hotel onto the bus, but we came off the bus out of the locker room ready to play offensively, and I guess the only negative, Clay Hendrick said he wanted to be balanced, and when you have a 14-play drive and only 3 of them are throws, but just kidding. You'll take that drive every time very crisp. And, again, 6 guys touching the football on that drive through the 14 plays for the score.
Hollingsworth set to kick it away. Brandon Powell to the far side. Ricardre Bagley to the near side. It'll be Bagley in the middle of the field at the 3, up across the 10 to 15. Tripped on the 15-yard line, kept his balance as he stumbled across the 20 and made his way out to the 23. That's where the Mocs will take over 1st and 10. Jacques Evangelista on the special teams tackle, and we will see for the first time anybody will see the rookie quarterback.
You're also going to have Darius Kearse and the corner 32 in for Clay. We thought maybe Clay would get the start. And also Bradford Lemons, thank you there for us. So 2 new corners starting